I've never been a wibbly-wobbly person. I'm more a fan of the tangible rather than the intangible. It doesn't mean that I haven't done, I don't know, intangible sort of thing before, but like meditating and such. But I'm more of a structured person, and also I stick with the same kind of fundamental theory, which is that your mind can't do two things at the same time. So what I tend to do is I tend to do exercise, or I tend to do something that's very difficult, and I become preoccupied with it rather than being preoccupied with something that causes me sadness or distress. And when I'm doing that other thing, whatever it is, and it requires a bit of focus, bit of effort, then I find myself, in terms of judgment, I go into free fall and forget about it. Not only judgment of others, which can be a bit of a curse, but mostly, and the most cursed of all, which is the sense of judgment of self, self-demeaning, doing damage to one's foundation, and even forgetting one's foundation. So the other thing I do physical things, and like with cognitive behavioral kind of therapy, which mindfulness falls into that. It's about being preoccupied with one thing and focused entirely on that moment. I find that thinking back to real events that happened during a significant time that were positive, that is very useful for me. I mean, look, here I am mixing custard, which is sugar, milk and custard powder. This is not creme anglaise, this is British custard. This is, I don't know, if you want to build a new British Empire, then, you know, your foundation could well be Bird's custard. So I can do active things, but I can also reach back to specific, powerful, strong memories, reinforced by affection and love and events that help make me who I am. And one of those reaches back to about 5, 6, 7 years of age, when on Saturday afternoon I used to help my mother cook. Well, that was the impression she gave. Whereas I would take a spoon and lick the bowl. Lick the spoon, not the bowl, obviously. Otherwise I'd have the bowl on my head. So making custard takes me immediately back to that one. It's a strong, warm, loving memory. I don't need to think about it. It all comes automatically. We all have these little things in our memories, powerful little things that were we just to be able to access them rather than be preoccupied with horrible thoughts that end up with us judging ourselves unfairly. So, as I said, this is so simple. And again, it's you act on something and something magical happens. I mix all that together. I start with a whisk, and then I'll take a spoon, a wooden spoon, and I can feel change because I'm controlling the situation. Making creme anglaise is a quite delicate, elegant process of working with food, and custard is slightly different, very simple ingredients, but one thing it does is it occupies you for an extended period of time. I like to take my time, start from a very low heat so I can control anything I do, and it takes me about 17-18 minutes to make custard, and it takes me less than a minute to empty the bowl. So here we are. I am lost. When I did this film, I found myself lost in the process, and I found myself with these light touches here, feeling the side of the saucepan, make sure it was hot but it wasn't too hot. And that's me content. I'm back at my mother's side. I feel safe. Nothing can injure me. And I'm at peace. And anything that sought to distract me with unfortunate consequences, it's not there. So I would leave you to watch this for a while. And if you've never made custard, then everything you need to know is on the screen. And finally, before I leave you alone, there is, when you're meditating, they give you a mantra. Mindfulness is just about focus on something as wonderfully simple as watching a leaf in the breeze, focusing on a dot on the wall, being aware of all the sounds that are around you, and just letting them pass through and over your mind, your conscious mind. But here, in this film, I'm feeling I'm taking control of making custard. It's all I'm concerned with. And that is the mantra, the physical mantra of turning the spoon and feeling the sensation as what was so liquid becomes slowly a bit thicker. And as I say, you can do this quickly. I'm sure you can even microwave it. But this has the ingredients, the most essential ingredients in any food you cook, and that's love. And the love that comes from this is the love of being a child at my mother's side. I talk a lot, don't I? But it's important. I'll talk to you in the end. Now it's a little phrase I forgot to add actually, which is an important one. That in abandoning yourself to the process, you find yourself in a state of pleasant and impatient anticipation. It's well worth waiting for. I'll leave you again. My dad would always, and probably a memory of his own childhood, going back a long time, my father would be over 100 by now, and he'd always put jam in, and as kids, whatever dad or mum did, we did the same, and there we are. It turned something very simple into something special, even more special, let's be honest. And as I had the jam, let me show you that with delight, that a lump of jam becomes a dove in flight, and then it becomes a rabbit looking upwards, and then ambrosia, before finally coming something as silly as the Roadrunner. Is this a Rorschach test for me, I wonder? But eventually, whatever it is, it becomes ambrosia, food of the gods. And I think we should have a national making custard and peace day. We should all gather round and just make custard and share it and put love into it. And nobody's allowed to speak. You're only allowed to sigh in delight. I wish you well. You take care.